Ready. Lowering oxygen, more carbon dioxide.
You sure it won't hurt it?
It's a very, very low voltage. Look how fast it's growing. Every single cell is a muscle cell and a nerve cell.
All muscle, all brain.
It's in between my fingers. It's not letting go.
Can I make a suggestion? Can I just go in there and get him?
No, you're not going to go in there. No, of course you're not, because I have to maintain quarantine.
No, I can
Stop.
do this. I can do this.
What's going on?
I'm going.
No, you're not.
Get your goddamn hand off me. What are we gonna do? There's a baby in there. Just open the door.
Ja, på trods af filmens titel, så er Life en film, der emmer af død, skræk og rædsler. En velspillet og nervepirrende science fiction thriller, der vækker minder om Alien, ikke blot fordi begge film handler om voksende monstre i det ydre rum, men også fordi Life også føles relativt forankret i virkelighedens verden med troværdighed og jordbundne karakterer i højsædet. Og det kommer slet ikke som nogen overraskelse, eftersom filmen er lavet af svenske Daniel Espinosa, som vi forleden sludrede med i Stockholm. Espinosa fik sit store gennembrud med det rå og nervepirrende gangsterhit Snabba Cash, der netop også vægtede autenticitet meget højt, både i forhold til plot og stil. Dernæst kom gennembruddet i Hollywood, den gedigne thriller Safe House fra 2012, efterfulgt af koldkrigsdramaet Child 44.
As a filmmaker growing up in Scandinavia, you know, getting the chance to do sci-fi must be somewhat of a dream come true, because it's not something we really delve into a lot here in Scandinavia, because we don't really have the budgets to, you know, go into space.
I think that, you know, for a kind of the normal filmmaker like me, you know, we don't even dream about going to space. We see it as like an abstract possibility for the chosen ones, no? So when I got the script, you know, I thought to myself, you know, it was a good script. It had a good narrative, good kind of propulsion, you know, potentially good characters. But I thought that the possibility to enter this realm of where all these great heroes have walked before, you know, I felt like, you know, when you're a kid and you walk behind your father in snow and you have these big, huge footprints and you're sticking your small foot in afterwards, that's how I felt.
One small step.
Yes, exactly. One small step for Daniel Espinosa and an even smaller step for...
But I mean, like some of your earlier work, Snabba Cash and Safe House, I really felt that they've really been steeped in reality, both in terms of the story, the characters, and also visually. It's been very, very rough. We once talked a little bit about Paul Greengrass bringing that sort of documentary aesthetics. So in terms of making a movie like this, where you're so dependent on wires and CGI and all that sort of stuff, did it come natural to you? Was that a difficult transition for you?
Yes, I mean, you know, after I decided to do it, I came to this kind of, you know, huge kind of crisis. You know, how do I do it? You know, because I've been known in Scandinavia to not allow any studio, you know, not build any sets, you know, having forced my actors and my poor teams into very cramped locations to kind of get some kind of realism. And I thought to myself, you know, I can't just let go of that whole part of my creation. So what I decided was that I had to build the entirety of the International Space Station. So we built the full-on set of the International Space Station in real size, and we made sure that all the computers worked, that all the machines functioned, that in every drawer you had the correct material, so the actors could, you know, live in this location for a week before we started shooting. So in that way, I could kind of maintain some kind of connection to reality. But also, you know, I wanted to have like those prolonged shots of Kubrick, of course, and but I also wanted a bit of that actually handheld feeling at times of Ridley in Alien, you know? That many of those kind of great scenes, you know, when the facehugger is stuck on one of the characters' face and they're trying to operate on him, the camera there is actually handheld, you know? And I wanted to create like a visual style that had each foot in each department. And that was a great challenge, but that was fun as well, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to do a picture that was based upon reality, to have like a, you know, instead of a science fiction, like a science realism.
I'm headed to the airlock.
There's liquid in the helmet, but it won't let go.
Using the launch suit.
It's not designed for this. There's not enough.
Come on, do it!
Cat. You're gonna go clockwise from your side. Cat, you're fighting me, Cat. Come on, gotta do it together now. Come on.
Cat.
Look at me.
Cat.
Just pull on the lever.
It's such an intense movie, and I was wondering again, is that intensity, is that difficult to sense or to create again when you're on set and the creature isn't really there, people are hanging on wires? Is that difficult to grasp it while you're in the middle of making it?
But it's even more, I think it's, to create that intensity with those actors is even more interesting when you can't see it. Because then the actors have to project the kind of inner fears of what they're seeing, And we also worked with practical models. I mean, in many ways, I kind of stole the notebook of Ridley of trying to build as much as possible in reality. So I could have I even could have Calvin as a real machine. And then we'd replace the machine. But I had it as a real machine. So the actors actually had something to respond to.
Cool.
When we created the animal, we contacted a man called Adam Rutherford, a geneticist. And I set him together with an old friend of mine, a graffiti painter called Ziggy. And I put them in a room and I gave them the rules of the creature. And I asked them to come back with what they saw after their arguments would be realistic.
Cool. The movie is so brutal, which I really think adds to the intensity, because I think there's so many watered down thrillers because they have to make that PG-13 rating. Now again, when I researched recently, I couldn't find if it had gotten a rating yet, but I'm assuming it'll be.
It's an R. It's an R.
Yeah, I was assuming that definitely.
It's an R.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not an R, the movie will be 20 minutes short. And it will be completely cut down. No, it's an R-rated. I mean, many things of those, when I read the script, it had that kind of R-rated, thrustful, kind of violent, energetic pace, but also that, those surprising turns that the movie has that you don't really see coming. And that I felt that a normal movie in America would be cut out. So when I did my first meeting on the movie, I brought them up, those turns, and I said, you're not going to accept this, and they said, yes, we will. And I said, not to be insulting or something, but I will ask for this to be in my contract, because otherwise I can't do the movie. And they accepted that, and that's why it has those interesting turns,
Cool. Yeah, because I was going to ask if it was any kind of a fight that you had to do to convince them we got to go for an R rating. It has to be had that extra intensity.
But the movie had that kind of that kind of radical side of itself from the beginning, but that's also why I had Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds, because Ryan is a good friend of mine, so he would always back me up. And Jake, Jake tried out to do big, broad commercial movies, a couple of years ago, and he didn't enjoy that experience, right? And then he went into indie. And after that, it's been very important and adamant for Jake to kind of maintain the kind of integrity of the picture. So I knew that if I casted these great young actors that had never worked together, it's a bit like a young version of Pacino and De Niro, no? But to have them kind of work together, but also have them as a support against the studio, to make a movie that, within the confinement of the genre, be as radical as possible.
Yeah, I have to ask this because I'm a huge Trekkie,
yeah.
And I remember reading years ago that your name was sort of came up in both Swedish and international media to a potential director for Star Trek Beyond. Now, as a huge Trekkie, I have to hear: are you yourself a fan, and was there any sort of talks, or would you be up for maybe the fourth one?
Yeah, I'm a huge Trekkie fan, and I went over to America and discussed the last one that was made. But I discovered that Bad Robot and JJ at the time, of course, were more focused into making the Star Wars movies, and I think that what has made this kind of the new franchise so great is the support from that kind of creative side of the production side. So when I realized that wasn't there, I thought it was better to wait out to the next one. But who knows?
Cool.
Where are you?